Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And what we have is the Kanjo VG-10 Black Damascus Santoku 170mm finish. And so this has a cladding of soft stainless steel and a core of hard stainless steel. So it's an all stainless knife. And that core steel is indeed VG-10 full stainless steel. Heat treats about 60, maybe 61 Rockwell-ish on the hardness. Construction is multi-layered soft stainless cladding on either side of that, and you can see they've done an acid etch to it to make the layers popped, and then they've polished that, and they've got a bit of a kind of a matte finish on that, but it's got a bit of a polish to it, so it's been etched and then polished down. So it's got a totally different feel than a couple of the other knives I did in this batch that were like full on etched, where you really see the layers. The layers still pop here, but it's a little bit different style of the way they finish it off. So it's definitely a little bit smoother, and it also doesn't grab wet product like the full-on acid etch that's kind of grippy even with your fingers on it. But when it gets wet, it tends to kind of grip product a little bit more, and this doesn't do that. So it's a nice combo finish on it. The weight and dimensions on these can vary a little bit from knife to knife, but weight on this one's 151 grams or 5.3 ounces. Edge length is about 175, and that's about 6.9 inches, almost 7 inches. So a little bit of extra length there. It might not all be that length, but this one is. 328 millimeters on the overall length, given this handle. And the spine thickness can vary a little bit. I got about 2.1 towards the back, so fairly thin blades. And then I got about 1.9 halfway down. And you can see pretty much holds that until the grind, which is pretty generous and just a good continuous kind of grind down towards the edge. There's not a hard shoulder here, but you can see where it pretty much starts coming in about right there where the layers get tight. But it gets pretty thin. On camera. There we go. Gets pretty darn thin at the tip. Tip does really nice, by the way, through things like onions and such. It's a very good performing knife, and there's your edge, and that's pretty thin as well. This knife performs very, very well. I tried out a few of these Santoku knives, and this one might have been my favorite by a little bit. It's a really good balance of performance and stiffness and cool looking. So the blade height is a 46.7 on this particular one. Again, that'll vary a little bit. The handles are really interesting. They're octagonal. They are a gray pack-a-wood. A lot of times you don't see pack-a-wood on the main part of the handle on these wah handles, and then it's a black pack-a-wood on the ferrule. So it really complements the overall aesthetic really well, and got a pretty tight fit and finish on the glue up into the handle with the tang, and it's just a well-executed handle. It's a little bit longer than some knives of this style, and that's going to bring the balance point back a little bit, but got about 75 millimeters in circumference where the two materials meet. You've got a fairly open choil here from the tang or neck going into there, so you've got a good spot for your finger for a pinch grip. And the balance point's going to be a little further back just because the handle, it's fairly dense, pack-a-wood's fairly dense, and it's going to be right there. So just in front of that handle is where the balance point is. So the length of the handle and the density of it contributes to that weight being a little further back. But sharpness, I would say 6, maybe 7 out of 10. It's got a nicely crafted edge bevel. It's quite sharp out of the box. Fit and finish is really well done. It's a really cool looking blades. And then you've got an etched kanji and symbol on the right side. You can feel that when you're in your hand across it. It's got a little bit of grab to it, to your finger. A little more of a matte finish. And then here's the left side of the blade as you'd be holding and using it. So that's what that looks like. There's your core steel peeking out. Very interesting aesthetic. They've polished the spine. It's a little bit rounded. They've polished the choil. It's rounded and relieved. So very comfortable. Really straight, clean grinds. This is just an excellently crafted knife, well-crafted knife. Cutting board. I think that's where we're at. Here we go. So here's what our cutting edge looks like. Again, it's a pretty easy to use profile. It's got a little bit more aggressive belly towards the tip. You can see some Santokus, the sheep's foot comes way down. This doesn't. So you've got a pretty high ability to rock this. So I can get pretty darn high on it and I can rock it nicely. I wouldn't say it's got a lot of flap, but it kind of flows into a little stop at the back and kind of a mid-belly towards the middle. So pretty flexible profile, but you can definitely do some chopping with this thing for sure. So just a well-crafted blade. The performance is very, very good. It's nice to look at. It's all stainless, cool handle. Again, about the only thing would be, depending on your preference, the balance point a little further back, but for some people they like that because it gives them a feel of a more of a Western style feel and balance point. So this could be a good bridge knife for somebody if they're used to Western styles and you want to introduce them to a wah handle but not move the balance point way up where they feel a little weird on that. This could be a really good bridge knife to get people on this side of the fence as far as wah versus yo handles. So there we have the Kanjo VG-10 Black Damascus Santoku 170mm knife.